Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're very excited the night before the acceptance period opens. My name is Ellen Truskowski, and I am the Director of Student Assignment. And tonight, basically, we want to let you see what to expect when it comes time for the acceptance period, walk you through the steps, just so you know what to do when it comes time to check and respond to your application and see the status. So the first thing is to be prepared. It'll go a lot smoother if you have that confirmation email or you have the following information with you. So if you have your username and password, and there's 3 different ways you could sign on, and when we get to the part where we walk you through, you can see it. You can either enter the application number, which will be on that confirmation email, or if you printed out a screenshot, the student ID number. And this is the 10-digit local ID that usually starts with a 52, or you can enter the student name and date of birth. The acceptance period will open up tomorrow at 12:01 a.m. and it is not a first come first serve, so you do not need to be waiting up to midnight to see the status. As long as you go on and respond to any offers by 5 p.m. on the 21st of February, you are good. One of the things that you're going to do, or you're going to start off with your Focus Parent account. So this is just a screenshot. In a minute, we'll walk you through, but this is where it all starts, just like when you applied. So you're going to go to focus.pcsb.org. You want to make sure that you're signing in with your parent account and not your student account. Once you sign in, if you currently are linked to students, you'll see some stuff in the center part. You'll see their pictures underneath where it says Student Reservation System, but you're going to click that link that says Student Reservation System. Once you get to there, it'll take you to your selections, and you're going to first start by choosing the appropriate description. So either your child is new or previously attended a Pinellas County public or charter school. So they're either inactive or they're brand new to our district. Or you're going to choose that they currently attend a Pinellas County public school or charter school. Once you click that, you're going to get to district application programs. And when you click that, you're going to get to a results screen. And I'm going to go over what the results screen means before we get to the walkthrough. So this is a typical results screen. This person applied for 3 different programs. As you can see, there's an accept column, an invited column, a waitlist column, or an ineligible column. If you are invited to a program, you're going to see that it is checked. So the red check for Garrison Jones Elementary School would be the program that they're invited. It's also going to give a temporary waitlist number. So this may change, and we'll explain that a little bit later. But it's a temporary waitlist number that may change to kind of help give you an idea of, do you really want to wait for your number 1 program, or do you want to accept your second ranked choice? I do want to also show you what an ineligibility or ineligible would look like. So you might get something like this. And if you see a red X in the ineligible box, that means there's 2 reasons. You might be ineligible due to behavior. So if you're a secondary student and you have 10 or more referrals and or assessor at any time, you may have been determined to be ineligible due to behavior. It might be an academic ineligibility. So maybe you applied for a Center for Gifted Studies and you are not actually gifted eligible, or you didn't meet the requirements for the high school ACE or IB programs. You might see that ineligible. The other reason you might see this marked is that you didn't have to apply to remain in the program. So if the coordinator saw your name there and you're already a student there, they would have marked you ineligible not to take a seat up for someone else. Once again, there's a waitlist number, and you can see where you have been invited. If you're invited, you will see a check mark in that column. To accept an invitation, all you need to do is click the check box underneath the accept column. If you do not want to accept any offers, you do not need to take any further action. You can only accept 1 program. And once you accept an invitation, you're removed from all the other wait lists. So in that first example where you saw that she was number 1 for one program and then was invited for the second program, if she accepts her number 2 choice, it's going to remove her from her first and third choice. All other invitations are canceled at the end of the acceptance period. So if you do not respond before the 21st at 5 p.m., your offers will go away. They become null and void. That wait list, I talked about it being a temporary number. We will have people who are invited that decline the invitation, and we'll have people who may have a newly invited sibling priority. So that number will change. The finalized number is going to be available after March 4th. Once again, the final waitlist number will be Tuesday, March 4th. As seats become available, they will be filled in numerical order from that waitlist. And then the waitlists are maintained and handled at the schools, so not the student assignment office. You would contact the school directly for an update on the waitlist number. For ineligible, so we just want to kind of go over, and I spoke a little bit, but just so you could have the visual as well. If you have been determined to be ineligible for the program, just mark an X, or you'll see the X in the ineligible column. And once again, it's 10 or more referrals, and it would have gone from January 2024 through December 2024. And or a assessor, which is a more serious behavior on how it's marked, and that could be any time in the career. So it could have been something that happened last year or a couple years ago. If you were already in the program, you didn't need to reapply, so you might be marked ineligible as you already have a seat there. If you are not sure, contact the program coordinator directly. If you were made ineligible due to behavior, you would have received an email already indicating that you have been determined to be ineligible. We do have a period called a newly invited sibling priority. And this is where you might have multiple birth children, or a child in 1st grade and a child in 4th grade. The 4th grade child got in, the 1st grade did not. You can ask for what's called a newly invited sibling priority. So as long as both students have the same program as your number 1 choice, one was invited and accepted and the other one was not, you would be eligible for a newly invited sibling priority. You would contact and claim this claim for the school directly. So during the week of February 24th through Friday, February 28th, you would contact the school directly. And then this is only applicable during the initial application period and acceptance period. Once we enter the late application period, this priority does not exist. What this will do is it will bring you up towards the top of the wait list to give a better chance to try to keep the family together. So it won't, depending on how many other people are there with the other priorities, it'll bring you towards the top of that list to give you a better chance. That same week, which is February 24th through the 28th, we also have an ineligibility appeals week. So whether it's behavior or whether it is academic for like the high school ACE or IB, you have the right or ability to appeal that decision. You would reach out to the DAP coordinator, and their contact information is going to be on the screen as well as your confirmation email. You would need to contact them between Monday, February 24th and Friday, February 28th to request an appeal. At that process, you would be able to talk about why you think that they should be an exception made. Maybe it was 1C, or if they got a lower test score last year, but every other previous year they were a 4 or 5. Or you could talk about how last semester last year and it's changed and you've had a lot better record for the first semester of this current school year. So whatever those reasons are, you're allowed to appeal to the school. Just reach out to them during the week of the 24th through the 28th. And we just want to go over a couple important dates. The acceptance period is February 12th through the 21st. That newly invited sibling request appeals week is February 24th through the 28th. The waitlist numbers will be available, and you can contact the school directly to find this starting March 4th. And the late DAP application period will open on April 2nd. We do have some parent assistant nights, and I will tell you we just scheduled a new one. Oh, it's on there already. So excuse that for a second. We had a late one come in and we just added it. We will be available. The Student Assignment Office will be at the following dates and times at the following schools to be able to help you with the acceptance period. So feel free to come out at one of those dates or times and we will be happy to walk you through it. We also are open every weekday from 8 to 4:30. You're more than welcome to come to the Pinellas County Schools admin building. Instead of going through the main entrance, you'll see a big sign that says student assignment on your left. You're more than welcome to come in and we'll be happy to assist you there. And then on the 21st, this office will remain open until anyone who has reached out either by email or voicemail by 5 o'clock that day, we will be able to stay and make sure that you have been assisted. So we're going to actually go to a walkthrough now so you can see the actual application and acceptance screens in order. And then after that, we will come back and we will open up for a live Q&A session. I'm going to turn it over to Mandy to walk you through what it's going to look like when you apply. So you would have already gone to Focus and you would have clicked the student reservation assignment and you would get to the following screens.
All right, so my screen is going to look just a little bit different than you will see tomorrow since it's not open yet. So I'm working out of a test site, but it is very similar to what you will see tomorrow. So just like Ellen said, you will log into your parent account at focus.pcsb.org. And then on the left-hand side, you'll select the student reservation system and it will bring you to the student reservation system and this screen. So I'm going to select my child currently or previously attended a Pinellas County public or charter school. Once it brings me to the next screen, you may see additional options on this screen, but you're going to want to find the one that says District Application Program Acceptance Period. Click there. And then you'll click this dot that says select this option if you applied for programs for next school year and wish to view or accept an invitation for the 2025-2026 school year. We're going to continue. Now, like Ellen said, you can enter your student's first and last name with their date of birth, or you could enter their student ID or their application number. Any of those methods are going to take you to your student's application so you can view the results. At that point, you would click continue. You're going to confirm that this is your student. This is my test student. Okay, now you will see the results of your application below. Please know that there are more steps that you must complete before confirming your acceptance. We always want to make sure that you scroll to the bottom of the screen and get all of the information that you need. But here on the left-hand side, you can see the programs that I have selected for my test student, Lisa Nelson, Garrison Jones, and McMillan Booths. The coordinator's information is there with their phone numbers for you to reach out if you have any questions. And then these are the columns that Ellen showed you on as an example before. So you can see there's a red check for Garrison Jones Elementary School's dual language program. So that is the program that I am invited for right now, or my student is invited for. If I want to accept that invitation, I'm going to click here in that box. You can see in this waitlist column that's highlighted in yellow, those are those temporary waitlist numbers. Now, those numbers can change for a couple of reasons. Ellen reviewed the newly invited sibling week. So if one sibling was invited and another was not, that may bring your number a little bit lower. At this time, all of the invitations are going out and people are accepting. So there may be seats that become available. So you may go up higher on the wait list. It just depends on what's happening during that review time. That's why we gave that date of March 4th so that you have that definite date where you can call for that finalized waitlist number to the school, to those program coordinators. So you have a solid idea of what that finalized waitlist number is. So the ones that are subject to change, however, are here. So those are temporary. And then if I were to have been found ineligible, or my student were to have been found ineligible, you would see that red X here. The explanation of results is underneath, so you have all of the information that you need to make an informed decision. So you may only accept one program. So you might have only one invitation, like my sample student does here, or you may have multiple invitations for several different programs, just depending on how many schools or programs that you applied for. And how many invitations went out for that particular program, depending on how many seats were offered. So you could have one invitation, you could have no invitations, or you might have multiple invitations. But regardless, you can only accept one program. And if you accept an invitation, you'll be removed from all of the other programs' wait lists. All other invitations will be canceled at the end of the acceptance period. Acceptances are not finalized until the end of the acceptance period, so you can log back into the site and change your acceptance choice anytime before 5 p.m. on Friday, February 28th. But as of 5 p.m. on February 28th, your final choice should be made within the system. As I said, once you make a decision, so if I accept this invitation for Garrison Jones's dual language program, and let's pretend I had also an invitation for Elisa Nelson Center for Gifted Studies, that would no longer be valid. So I would still remain on the wait list for McMullen Booth's IB candidate school, but I would no longer see the invitation available for me after 5 p.m. on February 28th because I've accepted this seat. If you have been invited, a check mark will appear in the invited column, as you could see. If you were found eligible and all of the seats were filled before your randomized number was reached, a number will appear in the waitlist column. This number will change after the acceptance period based on the number who accepted a seat during that time and those newly invited sibling priorities. Again, if you were found ineligible, you would see that red X in that column for either academic ineligibility or behavior ineligibility. At this point, I'm going to accept this invitation for the dual language program at Garrison Jones and click continue. Now it sends me to a confirmation screen. So the program that I have selected is at the top, along with the coordinator's information. It's just a reminder here, if a student accepting an invitation to a program has an eligible sibling who applied for the same program as their number one choice but wasn't invited, they are entitled to a newly invited sibling priority status. And to receive that priority, you must contact the school's program coordinator by the end of the school day on February 28th. There are some stipulations and things that you are indicating that you understand and agree to by accepting a seat within a district application program. Acceptance of that invitation will remove the student from all other program waitlists. Students who were previously dismissed from a fundamental program are only eligible to enter another fundamental school at the next academic level. So if your student was dismissed within elementary school, they would be able to reapply for a fundamental program beginning in middle school. But if they were dismissed, let's say in fourth grade, you would not be able to apply for a fifth grade seat. So that may be something that you notice. Another stipulation here is students with curb-to-curb or specialized transportation on their IEP who accept a seat in an application program agree to waive that specialized transportation and agree to arterial bus transportation provided the student resides more than 2 miles from the application program school. If you were granted a special assignment request, accepting a DAP invitation forfeits that special assignment request seat. So basically whatever you accept last is what you are agreeing to. So if you accept a DAP seat last, then you would be forfeiting the SAR or special assignment request seat. If you accept the SAR after the DAP seat, then you would be forfeiting the DAP seat and accepting that special assignment request. So just remember, whatever you accept last cancels out all of your other choices. You would then select the appropriate transportation option. You would say, I do require arterial transportation or I do not. And if I select I require arterial transportation, it's going to give me an option for AM or PM or both in the AM and the PM. So you would indicate when it is that you need that transportation to give our transportation department some information to work from for scheduling routes and those types of things for buses. I am accepting an invitation to the program listed above. Again, that's right at the top. That's the one that I selected. And I understand the listed stipulations. So I agree, but by accepting that seat, I understand and I agree to those stipulations listed above. I would then click submit. Now here is my student's name, the grade I applied for, the date I accepted, and then my application number. But I'm not quite finished yet. I want to enter in a valid email address for myself, and then I want to click submit. And then at that point, I have confirmed that I have reviewed and responded to my DAP application results. So by responding, that means that I have made a selection. And if I have another child, then I would need to press this exit button and log back in again so I could select that different student. But if I only have one, then I am finished with that process. If you have any questions about the application as you're going through this process of acceptance or viewing your waitlist status, you can contact us at the Student Assignment Office at 727-588-6210. If you had any questions about the program specifically or next steps for enrollment in the program or information that they might need, you would reach out to the school directly to the contact listed on that confirmation page. Their name and their phone number is there. You can also click here to complete a brief survey. We always appreciate stakeholder input. That helps us with decision making and choices made moving forward. But if you're all the way finished, you would just click here on that exit button at the bottom. And then at this point, we're going to open for Q&A.
Hi, thanks again for joining us tonight. This is Ellen Truskowski and Mandy Leathers. We are doing something a little bit different, so I ask for your grace. We've been trying to respond live instead of coming in afterwards and answer. And instead of waiting for someone to read the questions, we're going to be looking at them and answering. Please know if we do not answer them all, we will come at a later time and respond as they come in. But we're just going to go over a couple of the ones that if we haven't responded to, or the ones that are coming up a little bit more. First of all, Mandy and I haven't hit the invite button yet, so I'm not sure how any students know who's been invited or not. We've been working on making sure everything is ready to go out today. So if anyone is saying that they've been invited and they're already aware, it is not official. It has not been released. And until we hit the invite and it rolls over, no one is aware or should be aware, because not even the schools know who's being invited at this point or not. So if they already know, it's just, I think it has to do with feeder pattern priorities or other priorities. They do accommodate seats in certain programs for the feeder. So I think that might be more along the lines for that question. And we'll just go back and forth with different questions. One of the other questions Mandy is asking is, when will they be able to see the results, or when can they see the district application acceptance period tab in SRS?
You will begin to be able to see your results at 12:01 a.m. Tonight. So as soon as the clock strikes 12:01, you can log. You don't have to. It doesn't make any difference when you accept an invitation, if you would like to, between that window. So beginning tonight at 12:01, February 12th through 5 p.m. on February 21st, you can log in anytime between then during that window to view your results, your invitation status, and or your waitlist number. A related question that was coming in through YouTube, there was, are the waitlist numbers live? And the answer to that is no. So when you log in anytime between that window, you're going to see the same waitlist number listed on that chart, on that kind of table that you'll see. If more applicants than available seats were there and a wait list is formed for that particular program. The reason for that is because all during that time, people are logging in and accepting seats or declining offers. And so SRS, or the Student Reservation System, processes that kind of like on the back end. Like, okay, these students are coming off of the wait list, these ones are going back on. So it's self-adjusting all throughout. It just doesn't show it live. in addition, the following week, February 24th through the 28th, is the newly invited Sibling Priority and Appeals Week. So the waitlist numbers may change again during that time due to invited students, families claiming their related siblings, which would adjust the waitlist numbers again. So the reason we ask you to wait for the final number or the more solid number for the waitlist on March 4th is because of all of those reasons. So that was one question that had come across on YouTube.
Just keep on the theme, or with waitlist, more questions are coming in as far as how long did the waitlist last. And so once you're on this waitlist, it'll go until you either accept a program. Once you accept a program, you go off of all other waitlists, which is with another question. So when you accept one, you come off of the waitlist of the others. And the other one is it's only good for the current waitlist that you'll be on, will only be good for the 24-25 school year. So those waitlists do not roll over from year to year. If you did not get a seat and would like to apply the following year, you can then apply next January. So the wait list will be good up until the next application period.
That's a good question. So, Ellen, I have one from Jessica about arterial transportation. I don't know if you had any transportation questions as well, but one of the questions was, what is arterial transportation? And then the second part of that is, if the program your child gets accepted to is in their zoned school, should we choose yes or no to needing arterial transportation? So that spot on the application towards the end.
So that is a really good question. Arterial transportation just means that there's limited stops. They tend to go along more of the main roads. And so with that, there'll be less stops just because the application areas are a little bit larger than a zoned population or school zone. If you live within 2 miles of your zone school or your DAP, magnet, or fundamental school, transportation is not available. So you would need to live 2 or more miles away from that. And then if it is your zone school, typically transportation will do the zone school stop. And that is something that I know a lot of people think student assignment oversees or has a lot to do with transportation. Other than us making the reservations, transportation handles that, and their team is really good as far as getting back or answering questions that you might have with where the arterial stops are and then timing with that. One of the questions with timing, since I just mentioned it, was they were asking if the 25-26 bell times are out yet.
Oh, yeah, and not yet.
Yeah, so that typically will go to the board in the next month or so, and then those times will be released. So we do not yet have the bell schedules for next year.
Tiffany asked a good question about district application program acceptance and SARs. So she asked, if our child is not accepted into the DAP and we accept a spot for an SAR, will we lose our DAP waitlist spot? And the answer to that is no, you won't lose your waitlist spot. But if you were to accept the SAR and then accept the DAP seat, you would be forfeiting the SAR. So essentially, it's whatever school choice you make last is the one that sticks, or the ones that overrides all the others. So if you if a different scenario, if you were to accept a DAP seat during this window and then later on get a special assignment request offered, if you accept the special assignment request, you would be forfeiting the DAP seat. So again, whatever you choose last is the one that overrides all the others.
And Les on Facebook also had a question with the SAR, and it looks like they are currently out of school with an SAR, and then how do they deny it? So they may have applied for a magnet or fundamental and since changed your mind. And just like any other, if you do not want to respond or you do not want to accept that invite, you don't have to do anything. So you would just leave it blank. Once that acceptance period ends, it'll go null and void and it'll go away. So if you do not want to accept, just leave. There's no action that's required for that. And then that way you would keep the SAR and not go with the DAP.
One question that came in from Michelle that others may be wondering as well is kind of like, what should we do if a student was accepted to second or third choice but on the wait list for their first choice, especially if they really want the number one choice? Is there a wait list number that we have a good chance of getting an invite? So like we went over in the initial PowerPoint, And when we were talking about, the invitations and your other choices go away, your other invitations go away at the end of that acceptance window, if you were to choose your second option, then you would come off of the you would come off of the other wait list, and your other invitations would be invalid. So if you're making a selection, carefully make the selection. The answer to the second part is it just depends. It depends on how many applicants per year per program. Some programs are way more popular than others with wait lists into the hundreds. So if you'd like to well, we can't guarantee or suggest anything. We can talk things through with you. If you'd like to give Ellen or I a call tomorrow, we'll put our number. I think it's been below, but we'll put it in the chat again, and we can talk to you specifically about your situation, or shoot us an email at dap@pcsb.org and with some contact information, and one of us will give you a call tomorrow to talk through that.
And I realize we're using a lot of acronyms, and so for those of you who are new to the school system or applying for kindergarten, you're like, what are they talking about with SARs? That is something called a special assignment request, and basically that allows you to choose a non-DAP, non-zone school site. So we just had, or we're currently in, for grades 1 to 12, to apply for a special assignment request. Those results will come out in the first 2 weeks of March. To try to get it close enough to the DAP or district application programs for that. And then the application period for kindergarten will open up in March, so March 3rd, so you can apply for a special assignment request. And that's just if you live near Sexton but you work near Sandy Lane and you want to apply for a special assignment request at Sandy Lane. So that's what the SAR questions coming in have to do.
One question that Maria asked, she said, is there a possibility that nothing could show when you log into the student portal account? So you'll see something. You may not receive any invitations depending on the programs that you apply for. You may see just waitlist numbers, or like Ellen mentioned, the ineligibility. So if your student was found ineligible due to discipline, you may see X's straight down in that last column. If your student didn't meet the criteria for entrance to the Center for Gifted Studies, or they weren't not found eligible yet, or didn't meet the academic criteria for high school IB or ACE, you may see an X over there. So you're going to see something on the screen, but it is possible that you may not see any invitations.
So one of the questions that Kristen was reaching out was about if you put that you need arterial transportation, then later find out that you need it, can it be changed? So you could put it either way. So you could not ask for transportation and then decide at the start of the school year or after even driving for a few weeks that you need transportation. It's just asking the DMT at that school or data management technician at that school to put in for a bus stop. And if you're 2 or more miles away, you will get that. So you can answer it and then later change your mind. So either way, that'll work with the arterial transportation. Another question with waitlist, and we've answered it, but from Holly, is that if our child is waitlisted for the top choice but invited for the second choice, should we accept the second choice while waiting to see what happens with the waitlist? If you accept the second choice, your first choice is you're going to come off of that waitlist. And I'm gonna totally be transparent. If your waitlist number is in the hundreds, so you're like 100 or more, what that means is 100 people are going to have to either change their mind, either move, leave, accept an SAR, before you would get an offer. So if your waitlist number is in hundreds, 200, 300, the likelihood of getting an offer is going to be slim. So each year it changes how long or how far down the wait list that schools will call. Schools maintain their own wait list. We don't really monitor or micromanage that wait list process to know how far down they get. But if your number is very large, the likelihood of getting an offer is not going to be that good. So did the address of the student play a part in the acceptance? And that's a great question because that deals with proximity. So it could, the answer is it could, a certain percentage. There is a proximity of priority applied. So you have the military priority. There's a feeder pattern for some, not all schools. There's this anchor sibling priority, that there's a sibling that's going to be in the same program at the same time next year. There's a site-based priority. There's staffing priorities. Once those priorities are kind of given, it kind of floats them up towards the top. There's X amount of seats left over. And then a certain percentage of those seats will go to priority. In the last Facebook Live and YouTube Live session we went over a lot of what those priorities were. Most elementary and middle schools are about 20% of those seats will go to the closest address to the school using something called a Manhattan distance formula. And then the rest of the seats are random. Some years, if there's a lot of priorities, it might be a handful of seats. Some years it's quite a few seats. So address does play a part, but it's not the whole picture. It's anywhere from 20% for elementary middle, with 3 exceptions with the 50%, and then it also is about 25% for the high schools.
There was another kind of waitlist related question that was just slightly different that I wanted to address. Christina said, so if we hope to get our number 1 pick while on a waitlist and don't get invited before the deadline, do we miss out on an invited school? So that notification isn't going to change in that acceptance window. So the screen isn't going to change from when it opens tonight at 12:01 a.m. until 5 p.m. on February 21st. So during that time, you can decide whether you would like to remain on the wait list for your number 1 choice, or if you would like to choose another invitation that you have been offered, knowing that if you accept the invitations offered, you're going to come off of that wait list. So that's kind of what Ellen was referring to when she was talking about, if you're number 316 on the list, chances are you're not going to get a seat. But if you are in a number that you feel comfortable with, that I feel confident that we may get an offer between now and over the summer, then you may want to remain on the wait list. But in that case, the invitations that have been offered during this time would no longer be available for you. So you're going to have to weigh those options. Again, if you would like to talk with one of us or one of our office staff about that, you can feel free to give us a call. If you have a specific, I know everyone's situation is a little bit different. So if it's my specific case and these specific schools, and I want to know this and that, then we would be happy to have that talk with you.
So Trish Stanton is asking about IEPs with buses. So one of the things that when Mandy was talking about the conditions are that if you do have an IEP with curb to curb, you do not get that with arterial transportation. There is one exception only, and those are for schools within a school program. So sometimes you have a program within a school. For example, Northeast High School. Northeast has 4 different programs, but it also has a zone population. So if you have an IEP for curb to curb and Northeast is your zoned school and you selected culinary at that time, because it is the zone school, curb to curb transportation would be provided. As far as any of the other programs, if it is not the zone school, curb to curb is not an option, just to the vast geographical areas of some of these application areas. We have a question coming saying, do schools hold seats for possible sibling priorities? And that would be no. We do that newly invited sibling priority. So that newly invited does allow that 1 week, and it will bring the person who's claiming it up towards the top of the application period. It may fluctuate too, because military priorities are good year round. So if someone comes in at a later date and has active transfer orders or retirement orders, we would be giving a military priority at that time. So it still has a little bit of a chance to change throughout the school year.
Raphael said, hit the invite button, please. Not quite yet.
We will be doing that after the Facebook and YouTube Live event tonight. So we will get them going as soon as possible, but you can start seeing the results tomorrow night or tomorrow morning. Another question coming from Alex, is if their child, oh, good question. If their child is already attending VPK at Sexton, do we still have to submit DAP for kindergarten? So that actually is not really DAP. So DAP is our magnet and fundamental programs, and Sexton doesn't currently host one of those. If you are talking about a VPK program and that Sexton is not your zone school, so if you're attending the VPK program at Sexton and North Shore is your zoned elementary school, if you wanted to remain at Sexton, you would need to apply for a special assignment request. And the kindergarten special assignment request window is going to open up on March 3rd. So you need to be, since you're attending VPK at Sexton, you're already enrolled in the district, but you would need to be enrolled at the zone school or enrolled in the VPK program, and then you'll be able to apply to remain at Sexton starting on March 3rd.
That's all the different questions that we had from YouTube. Did you have
Okay.
any more from Facebook?
We are.
Oh, I just had one come in from Ellen, your name twin. What is the April 2nd late application, and if not invited, should we reapply during the April 2nd late application period? So the April 2nd late application is in case you missed the initial application period. You can submit a late application beginning on April 2nd for any of the magnet and fundamental programs. If you weren't invited, that means you're still on the wait list. So you would have a higher position on the wait list, remaining on the wait list in that position than you would by submitting a late application, because the late applications function a little bit differently than the initial applications. During the initial application window, all of the applications are collected and then they're randomized after the priorities are applied. So it doesn't matter when during that initial application period that you submitted the application, they are all equally weighted after those priorities. So it could have been at the beginning, the middle, or the end, and you would have had the same randomized chance of ending up in a different spot on the wait list as any other. During the late application period, they are time-stamped in order of receipt and added to the bottom of the wait list in that order. So it would matter beginning April 2nd, how quickly you put in that late application, but regardless, all of the late applications are added to the bottom of the list. So if you choose to remain on the wait list for a program that you applied to during the initial, you're going to have a higher placement on the wait list than you would if you were to submit a late application just because you didn't receive an invitation.
I am going to jump onto that because one of the questions before was like, what if we decline or don't respond to an offer to stay on the wait list and then we're not on that wait list? So during the late application period, if you do not respond and you come off a wait list, you can add more programs on. And what we would caution you with at that time is that you do not change the order of those programs that you want. So you can go back in during the late application period and add programs on. Mm-hmm. Just don't change the order of the ones that are already there, because the minute you change that number, it's counting it as a new application. So you can add the programs that you might have come off on the wait list back on during that late application period. Just don't touch any of the programs that wait list that you're currently on.
Another question was, how do you apply for an SAR, and is it currently open?
So grades 1 through 12 is currently open. You go through the Focus Parent Portal. You'll go to the same spot, Student Reservation System. You have to go about halfway down the page, and you will see a next year Special Assignment Request, or SAR, available. And currently it's grades 1 through 12. The application period will be open till this Friday. And then we will have results going out the first 2 weeks of March. Now, the first 2 weeks of March are when we're allowing the kindergarten to be able to apply. One of the things is that you have to be currently enrolled as a student for next year. So if you are new to kindergarten and we had the same application window, we were giving you literally 9 days to try to get all the documentations, a reservation made, physical, all the everything to the school. So we wanted to give time to be able to get your child enrolled first before applying. So once you're fully enrolled, and that's not just the reservation, you'd have to bring in all the required documentation and get it pulled in. You will be able to apply for special assignment requests for kindergarten. That window will open on March 3rd. We have different variations of questions coming up, but for the most part, a lot with bell times. That has not gone to the school board yet. I think they're waiting to see if legislation is changing some of the rules. And then as far as Tina Miller's asking, can you find out how many people applied for a specific school and or grade level? And the question is yes.
Yeah, we have that information. So if you'd like information about specific programs or specific to you questions like that, just please feel free to reach out.
I think at this point we've pretty much answered all the questions that have come in. What time on 12 can we check the portal? So the portal will go live at 12:01 February 12th, so 1 minute past midnight tonight, and you can be able to sign on. You can sign on anytime during the acceptance period, which goes through the 21st. With that as well, you can change your mind. So if you decide you want to accept one, maybe you decide you want to wait on the wait list, you can go in and change it as many times as you want. It's whatever you do last is what is going to stick. So just like accepting the SAR or a magnet or DAP program, whatever is last is what's going to stick. So charter fundamental schools. We have one other question, or one thing I will kind of just give a heads up on that comes up every single year is every now and then we get families who will accept a seat at a magnet or fundamental program and decide to withdraw to homeschool sometime in the spring. And when they withdraw to homeschool, it takes you out of everything. So you lose your seat for next year, you lose that magnet or fundamental seat, it withdraws you from anything that you may have this year or next year. So just be careful with that, because if you're counting on having that seat saved, when you do withdraw from Pinellas County Schools, it will take you out completely. And then one last question came in about charter schools. That is a separate application where they maybe have a charter with the school district. They are independently owned and operated, so they will run their own charter school lotteries. They run their own registration and enrollment processes. So if you are applying for a charter school, you would need to reach out to them directly to find out any information as far as how to enroll or how to apply and find out what those results were. At this time, I want to thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at dap@pcsb.org. And then also our phone number, and our people can answer. It is 727-588-6210, and we'll be happy to address or answer any of your questions.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to talking with you soon.